always hard thinking about doing a eulogy and talking about someone that has passed away because there's so many different expectations about what you should say, right? Some people are going to want to hear funny stories about the person, and some people are going to hear more serious things, and then there's what I think Granddad would have wanted me to say. So I'm going to try and do both. First, I'm going to tell a funny story, and then I'm going to give you a message that I pieced together from some verses that Granddad had written down. So funny story first. This has become kind of a famous one in our house. For background, you should know that probably the gift that grandmother has gotten through her life most is a kettle. Because she would often put it on the stove and then go down to the barn and leave it on and it would burn. That's often why Granddad, whenever we came to visit, would be sitting at the kitchen table eating a lettuce sandwich or a cold can of soup. So that's the background. So we go over one day to visit grandmother and granddad, and Mom makes some cornbread. And, it's done, pulls it out, cast iron pan, puts it on the stove, and Thomas asks what that is. It's weird. Every good Southern boy should know what cornbread is. This is a very strange question. He says, well, that's cornbread. No, that's not cornbread. So an argument ensues between Thomas, who was probably 7 at the time, and my mom about whether or not this was in fact cornbread. Finally, Thomas got so adamant that is not cornbread, cornbread is black. And I have never once seen my granddad laugh as hard as he did.
That's great. Gotta peel the bottom off of it.
Okay, so there's your funny story. So those of you who wanted one, you got one. Now I want to tell you the message that I think Granddad would have wanted you to hear. And it's, I think, why, even though, like, my cousin is fighting back tears, as I am now, he can also write, death can be a beautiful thing. And the reason for that is really well told by the gospel. And so I wanted to share with you the gospel as written, essentially, and collected by my granddad. The gospel is really about God, who he is, and what he's done. So the first thing I'm going to do is just tell you who God is. God is the creator of the universe. Everything you see, everything that's ever been, is created by him. Second thing you should know about God is that he's good. He created us to be in harmony with him, the earth, and each other. The one that you see around you today is very different than the one that he created. The problem here isn't just the worst people you've ever heard of. It's not just the really, really bad people, the people that we don't talk about or we don't invite over and that kind of stuff. The problem is actually all of us. We all bear the scars of each other's selfishness. We all put our own interests first. We don't listen to God, we listen to ourselves. We've traded his truth for ours, and that's what you see today. That's why we've all been hurt. And we've all been the ones to hurt each other. The third thing you should know about God is that he's just. We wouldn't call a judge who takes a guilty person and declares them to be innocent a just judge. That would not be justice. But God is just. And we hurt each other. And there has to be a reckoning. The fourth thing that you should know about God is that he's also merciful. He doesn't want to declare us guilty, but we are guilty. The fifth thing you should know about God is that he's self-sacrificial. He doesn't want to declare us guilty, but we are guilty, and he can't just ignore it. So he had to find a third way. He came down as the person Jesus Christ, lived a perfect life, and took our guilt.
Amen.
He declared himself guilty on our behalf.
Amen.
The sacrifice was a gift to us. And like any gift, it has to be accepted. If I sent you a gift and you just left it out on your doorstep or threw it in the garbage, you would not get any of the benefits of that gift. You have to bring it inside. You have to unwrap it. You have to use it to get that benefit. In the same way, that gift of taking our guilt on himself has to be accepted by us. Then we get the benefit. But the gospel, the good news, is that if you accept it, you get that benefit. You are forgiven, and God, even though your life may not be easy, God will be with you throughout it. And at the end, when your time here is over, you will be with God in a place the Bible describes as paradise. That's the gospel. I'll close with this. One of my favorite sections of one of my favorite books called Return of the King. You may have read it or you may have seen the movie. One of the things I love about these books is that Tolkien was a devout Christian, and he seeded them throughout with stories of the gospel. You just have to know where to look for them. And so here you have a character called a hobbit, but really is meant to represent children. They're very short, very inquisitive, very curious creatures, maybe 3 feet tall, and overwhelmed utterly by the world around them. This character, the hobbit, is sitting with what's called a wizard, but is really an angel in the book. They're in a city surrounded by an army. In the last part of the city, they barricaded themselves in, and on the outside, you hear a battering ram against that gate. Death was coming. And so the child sits there and turns to the angel and said, I didn't think it would end this way. The angel looks at him with kind of strange look of like bewilderment and a little bit of admonishment, a little bit of amusement, and said, end. No, the journey doesn't end here. Death is another path, one that we all must take. The gray rain cloud of this world peels back and all turns to silver glass, and then you see it. At this point, he's looking off in the distance, and the child's, what? See what? And he goes, white shores, and beyond, a far green country under a swift sunrise. And the child looks at him and says, oh, well, that isn't so bad. And the angel says, no, it's not. That is why through tears we can say death can be beautiful, because that is where Granddad is, and I think that what he wants you to know is that if you're a Christian, be comforted by that idea. And if you're not, I really pray that you'll start asking questions, that you want that hope, that you want to know why, though we're sad, we truly believe we will see him again in paradise. Thank you.
I've got like 3 pages of notes, and between Pastor Tom and Tripp, they're all gone. So, and I was just sitting here thinking, and I was, but that's okay, all right. I'm not complaining. It got out, you know. That's my fault. I scheduled me last, so it's all on me. But I was sitting here thinking. 2 thoughts occurred to me as I was sitting here and I was listening to both of them, and especially to you, Tripp. I was sitting there thinking. One of my thoughts was, you know, I'm going to die one day. This is just me. This is just Brandon talking to you right now. They don't train you in seminary and make sure you have to say these kind of things. I'm just telling you from my heart to yours. I'm going to die one day. I've got 2 kids right now. If my wife has her way, there'll be more, but I think we're done. So y'all don't pray for that. Anyway, and Lord willing, I'll have grandkids, and there'll be a day where they bury me. And if my name is completely forgotten, and if I am left out of my own service just to have a grandchild of mine come up and present the gospel of Jesus Christ to a group of people gathered around my casket, then I won.
Amen. Amen.
That was